Hey everyone, today we are in San Bernardino, California, right off State Route 18, and we're about to do the Rim of the World drive. I've never done this drive before, but it's something that I've always wanted to do. It is a little bit more hazy today than the weather forecast predicted, but we'll still go. We'll see what we can see along the route, and thank you for coming along with us. Hope you enjoy it, and I hope we enjoy it as well. For this trip on the Rim of the World Highway, we're going to be starting in San Bernardino and ending in Redlands, making almost a loop. Starting the drive in San Bernardino, you can see the San Bernardino Mountains in the distance, which we'll soon be climbing. Right at the start of the drive, you come across the city's Arrowhead landmark, which the nearby Arrowhead Springs, Lake Arrowhead, and even Arrowhead drinking water are named after. It doesn't take long before you start climbing into the San Bernardino Mountains, and it's not long after that when you start to find out why this is called the Rim of the World Highway. Luckily, there are plenty of places to pull off the road and get a good look at the valley and the city below. The only problem is, as you continue to climb, the views just get better and better, and it's hard to resist stopping at every single pullout just to get a look. Though we did stop at quite a few of them. Before we get too far into the video, I do want to say that the drive as we did it is about 100 miles, and we did it as a day trip, but we actually kind of regretted that and wish that we split it up into multiple days. There is a ton of stuff to see and do on the Rim of the World Highway, and while it did make a great day trip, I think it would have made an even better multi-day trip. But hey, that just gives us a reason to go back. As we got to the top, look at this incredible view. You can also see where they cut into the mountain to make the road. Our first planned stop was Lake Arrowhead Village, and at first we were a little worried about the clouds, but those worries were quickly put away. It was an absolutely beautiful day at the lake. In 1920, the Arrowhead Lake Company bought Little Bear Lake, which was the original name of the area, and changed the name to Lake Arrowhead, taking the name from the rock formation that we saw earlier in the video. Between 1921 and 1923, they built the original Lake Arrowhead Village, which was built in the Norman style, and then in 1978, they purposely burned the village down to rebuild it in 1979. These days, Lake Arrowhead Village has shops, restaurants, a pretty cool model train exhibit, and even a fossil store where you can buy dinosaur bones. But of course, the main attraction was the lake itself, which was absolutely beautiful. California, like much of the western United States, is in the middle of a historic drought right now, though that wasn't really evident at Lake Arrowhead. We were told the lake is a little bit lower than normal, but it wasn't anything too noticeable. But we'll get back to that later when we get to Big Bear Lake. There are companies that offer boat tours of Lake Arrowhead as well, though unfortunately the next available time was too late for us, so we didn't manage to take one on this trip. We did eat lunch at Jetty's, however, which is right on the lake and has some really good food. They also have a huge craft beer selection as well, if you're into that. After Lake Arrowhead, it was on to our next planned stop, the site of the old Santa's Village in Sky Forest. Santa's Village first opened in 1955, and I remember being a kid in the 80s and seeing the commercials on TV and begging my parents to take me. Eventually they relented, but they must not have liked it very much because we only went the one time, though I remember having a blast. The park went out of business in 1998, and eventually the property was sold and is now Skypark at Santa's Village, an adventure park. They saved 18 of the original buildings from Santa's Village, and now the park has things like mountain biking, rock climbing, a zip line, but apparently you could still even see Santa Claus there. Unfortunately, we didn't go in because we weren't prepared for that type of adventure, but it was great to see that they preserved the old park. Next, we stopped at Heaps Peak Arboretum. The Arboretum is part of the San Bernardino National Forest, and they have a couple of short, yet really informative nature walks that you could take there. The first trail is paved and flat, and has quite a few informational signs about the local area and local wildlife. They even have tracks in the cement to help you identify local wildlife, which may come in handy on the next trail. The other main trail at the Arboretum is a 1-mile loop trail that ventures out into the forest. This trail does have some slight up and downhill sections, though overall it is a very easy trail and very well maintained. The loop trail takes you past this area, which was the site of a lumber mill in the 1800s, though there is no evidence of it today. The loop trail also takes you through a sequoia grove. Back on the road, and we had our first encounter with some of the local wildlife. A deer that decided to tempt fate. Luckily, it made it across without incident. And of course, while driving, we still had to pull over every once in a while at some of the viewpoints just to take a look at the fantastic views. It's amazing to see how the road just cuts through the side of the mountain, especially when you consider that State Route 18 is well over 100 years old. We then reached the outskirts of Big Bear Lake, which is an extremely popular Southern California ski area in the winter. This part of the drive also seemed to have much more traffic than anything up until this point. On the right, we're passing an amusement park with a roller coaster that we definitely want to check out on a future visit. Finally, we reached the village at Big Bear Lake, which was actually really crowded, especially when compared to Lake Arrowhead earlier. Though I guess that's to be expected, as Big Bear Lake did seem to have a much better selection of places to stay. And Big Bear Lake definitely had a lot larger selection of places to grab a bite to eat as well. We managed to find a parking spot right next to the lake, and that's when we first noticed the effects of the drought on Big Bear Lake. All this land, including where I'm standing, should be underwater. I flew my drone up to get a better look, and it's crazy to see things like piers over land and boat docks just sitting on the ground. Despite the drought, the lake was still beautiful, and there was quite a few people just enjoying being out on it. Plus, what a great view while grabbing a bite to eat and getting ready to start heading down the mountain. Heading down the mountains, we took California Route 38 towards Redlands, and it was definitely a lot more forested than Route 18 coming up, though there was still occasionally some pretty scenic views. Eventually though, as we were heading down towards Redlands, the sun started going down, and we knew our time on the Rim of the World Drive was at an end. If you get a chance to drive the Rim of the World Highway, we highly recommend it. It is one of the great drives in Southern California for sure. Though, as I said earlier in the video, we do recommend taking more than one day to do the drive, as there is so much to see and do. Though if you only have one day, it still makes a great day trip. If you have any questions about the Rim of the World Drive, feel free to ask in the comments, or if you know any spots on the Rim of the World Drive that we missed that are a must-do, please let us know in the comments as well. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and we'll see you next week.